Still TV3Newday, and it's time now for the big issue. Joining me in the studio is the head of the legal team for the NDC, lawyer Abraham Amaleba. Good morning, lawyer.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Paula. Well, we are managing, and Ghanaians have always been managers. Just that this morning when I was coming, I heard the sad news of a teenager who died at the Konfanachi Teaching Hospital because of the lack of beds. And I thought we had gone past this. I am saddened that people are dying, not because our doctors cannot treat them, but they are dying because of lack of beds, which should have been a basic thing that a country like Ghana should not be facing. And yet, we have a president who would fly in luxury. Then I asked the president, where is his sense of patriotism? And so what I heard this morning shook me, and I'm saddened this morning that we are still having deaths in our hospitals, not because doctors cannot treat or cure those diseases, but because our government has failed to provide beds for people who are sick. There's not an epidemic. It's not as if there is a crisis where there's an outbreak of disease for you to say that people have been rushed to the hospital, so as a result of that, the beds are full. Why do we continuously have this problem of lack of beds? And yet, when you look at the expenditure, frivolous expenditure, and that's why I would tell the Catholic bishops and those bishops who went to see the former President Mahama, look, if they don't begin to talk about the ills of this government, the people of this country will not forgive them.
Okay.
And I think that it's about time that they also, much as they are entreating Ghanaians to pay the e-levy, they must also talk to the president to ensure that he uses our money wisely and prudently.
Okay. All right. And, well, we'll be joined shortly by our rep from the NPP. He's the former MP for Kankwe North. But even before that, yesterday, the Private Transport Union, GPRTU, asked the public to disregard the 30% increase in transport fares announced by some unions. In fact, some private commercial drivers had indicated that there was going to be a 30% increase in transport fares today as a result of the constant increase in price of fuel. And yesterday, Abasi Moro, who's the PRO for GPRTU, said that, well, that is just one sect of the entire union, and GPRTU had not agreed necessarily to that 30 pesos or 30% increase until they meet government. Take a look.
The committee's coalition's meeting, we agree that since we don't take entrenched position from 30, we can be reasonable up to 20, but not less than 20. At the negotiating table, government stood on its grounds of 10%, and we rejected that. We again asked for postponement to next week, of which we immediately inform all coalition members on our platform. And a meeting is on its way with the coalition before meeting government machinery next week. Just for concern, coming out this morning that are effective from tomorrow, they are coming out with 30% increment. You see, we are not living in animals' kingdom, while some animals are stronger than others. We all came together. If we are to do that, then GPRTU, we have that saying to lord ourselves over others, but we never did that. We all came together. So we are surprised. We don't know if he is taking recalcitrant position while he has to explain better. In any case, if they don't know, they should know that we are thinking about ourselves as drivers, and we are thinking about the citizens as well. If we allow ourselves, concern has come up with 30, then other come up with 40. Other people will also say where their route is too rough that they are the only people who ply that route, so they are also coming up with 50. Where are we heading to?
And that is Abbas Imoro. He's the PRO for the GPRTU, and he was refuting some claims made by the private commercial transport operators who posted yesterday that there was going to be a 30% increase in transport fares by private commercial transport operators with immediate effect today, 18th of February 2022. He says that, well, we're yet to meet government. We had proposed a 30% increase initially. We met with government and they indicated that GOIL was going to reduce the price. Even that there was some contention as to whether it was government that asked GOIL to reduce it or GOIL went ahead to reduce it on their own. But now they're saying they will meet government again and they will let us know by Monday what the situation would be exactly. Joining us also in the studio this morning is Hussaini Issa. He's a former MP for Okankwe North. Good morning.
Good morning,
How are you doing?
By the grace of God, we are good.
You're good?
Very well.
Okay,
Right.
all right. What do you make? I mean, fuel prices. And I remember that just sometime last month or so, the fuel prices went up. You know, and it was at a point when a lot of Ghanaians were expecting that things would be better, especially because the levy had been held on to for a while and then it was released by the president. And then fuel prices went up. Life has become difficult for Ghanaians. And now we're going to have to pay most likely some increase in transport fares.
Good morning to you again, Bella. Good morning to my very good friend, Lawyer Maliba, and good morning to your viewers, especially the people of Okankwe North, and Juma Mubarak to all Muslims watching us this morning. The issue of fuel prices and transport fares, I mean, this has become topical in the last couple of days, and understandably so. It's always a function of other cost implications in the other sectors. We see transport operators linking this to prices of fuel and fuel products these days. Like what I always call him Bra Abbas Imoro. You know how we do it in the family setting. Bra Abbas has been saying, the PRO of the GPRT. There's always a system that determines those prices, and it's been in place for quite a while. And I'll expect that even in the circumstances we find ourselves in, we should still use the systems and lay it down systems for us to be able to know what needs to be done at every point in time. But the reality is that when you talk about fuel prices, it is not unique to our economy. It's not unique to Ghana. The world over now. I mean, last time I checked, a barrel of crude was selling beyond $90. I mean, for about a year or a little over a year ago, it was hovering around the 50s and all of that. And you see, when those prices start hiking up, at a point in about 2007, 2008, it went as high as $150 per barrel. And when it starts like this, you don't have a very good indication where it's going to end, especially looking at the global situation, the geopolitics that affects prices. Yesterday, I was watching the international media, and there's this threat of Russia attacking Ukraine. That act alone has a spiral effect on all economies, and Ghana is not in isolation. And so government will also have to be able to have a very good view. And the projections will be made, but these projections are not always because things keep happening. I'm sure at the time we're doing our budget in November, trying to have a benchmark price for crude, we didn't envisage it as Russia and Ukraine situation getting to this level.
But even before that, there had been calls for the levies and the taxes, the extra taxes on fuel to be scrapped.
You see,
COVID
the
levies, sanitation,
and the price build-up. The price build-up has been also one thing that we have talked about. But you see, at the end of the day, government still needs to run. Government still needs to make money to be able to keep the system running. And if there are avenues that government could make money from, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You could argue that because crude prices are high, or because of the situation of our currency, we should take off these taxes. Then again, the economy still has to run. So it's a very mixed bag of issues that government needs to manage, and government is managing at this time. I am sure that at the appropriate time, the right decisions will be made. Not too long ago, government actually announced and held on to some levels of taxes on fuel prices.
But the
then
president asked them
seemed
to
no,
reinstate
the
those.
explanation, even before the president,
That was the
is that-
price
is that-
stabilization and recovery levies, and it
it
was reintroduced.
it was reintroduced because there is this fund that is used to provide subsidized fuel for our fisher folk, and at the point the fund is being depleted I mean the fund has been depleted, and so if we kept these levies out, it meant that the pre-mix fuel issues were also good. So it's a mixed bag of issues that government needs to manage on a daily basis, and that's exactly what government is doing. As to the pricing of oil and all of that, look, in production, it's one of two things. Sometimes when you reduce your prices, you're able to sell more, and you're able to still maintain your level of profitability, because more people will go to oil now because oil's prices are quite more competitive than it's other people in the industry. So it's a mixed bag of issues government is managing. In fact, yesterday I was hearing a similar situation in Nigeria, where there has been long queues. Prices have in some cases quadrupled overnight, 4 times price of fuel within the big cities in Nigeria. And Nigeria is the biggest oil producer on the African continent, a very key member of OPEC. And if Nigeria is going through, then you should know, in advanced economies where probably the taxes on fuel products is not as high as ours, they are still having energy challenges. Not too long ago, sometime last year, a country like UK actually had queues at their petrol stations and all of that. So it's not unique to us. It's a mixed bag of issues that we are managing, and I'm sure.
Are we managing it? Our city keeps depreciating. In
sure.
fact, just 2 or 3 days ago, we're told that the city had depreciated from to 4.70%.
Bella, that is why I say it's
that's
a
just
mixed bag
45
of,
days into the year 2022.
It is neither here nor there, whether it's 45 days or 90 days or.
It doesn't matter.
But what I'm saying
are you saying it doesn't matter?
The time is the reality is what we are faced with as a government.
45 days into the year, people are still trying to manage the meager salaries that they're making.
Bella,
they have not gotten an increase in salary.
This is cyclical.
How is it cyclical? Tell me.
It's cyclical because in the first quarter of the year, people have made purchases and expenses, or companies have repatriated their profits, or they are now repatriating their profits they made for last year. And so there's always pressure on the currency in the first quarter. So in the first quarter, you tend to see the currency depreciate much more than subsequent quarters. So that's why I was saying that whether it's 90 days, 30 days, or it's cyclical. This is the cycle that our currency has been running. By December, companies have reported their profits. And for companies that need to repatriate profits, or even companies that need to make investments in the year 2022, this is where they probably need foreign currency to be able to go out there to acquire whatever capex or whatever they need to do those investments.
Is so in the quarter, as a result of bad leadership? I remember that in 2016,
it couldn't
President
be because
at the time when he was campaigning to come into power had said that the current depreciation of the city at that time was because of bad leadership. We're seeing that happen now. Is it the
worst performance of the currency under NPP is the best under NDC. So you cannot say that it is a result of bad management. You cannot say that, because the worst performance of our currency under the government of the New Patriotic Party is the best under the NDC. So you cannot say it's a result of bad management, but this is cyclical. This is what we.
But if you tell us that you're going to do better when you come into power, then we don't expect that you'll be comparing and saying that
better
West is the best of the NDC.
You see,
is it reflecting in the pockets of Ghanaians? Is it reflecting in their livelihoods? That's what matters. And Ghanaians are saying that life has become even more difficult now.
Better means that the numbers are showing that we are performing better. And let's not also think that any level of depreciation of the currency is bad. No, sometimes you even need it to be able to spare on economic activity within the economy.
Is that what's happening now?
I said sometimes you even need to do it. And some of these things, trust me, We have capable people at the central bank and at the Ministry of Finance looking at the trend of our economic activities, and sometimes there's the need to even depreciate your currency. That makes the pricing of your imports and exports, puts it at a certain level to be able to control consumption and all of that. So,
but this rank is the second worst performing rank in Africa.
I will maintain.
I will maintain that rank.
Yes, but it's only the first quarter. It is only the first quarter.
What's the guarantee that it will get better in the second quarter?
We have always shown that. We have always shown that. That is why I keep telling you that the worst performance of the currency under the NPP is better than A. It is only the first quarter, and I'm telling you that it's cyclical.
Okay.
Issues that happened in the last quarter of last year typically will affect this quarter, and then going forward, we are able to do whatever it takes to retain our value.
Let me bring the lawyer in.
It's a situation that we have our thumb on it, and in the coming weeks, I'm sure that we will see a better performing currency.
Lawyer, fuel prices are almost breaking the 7.999. In fact, for people who are buying 350 Ghana cedis full tank, they'll have to pay 440 Ghana cedis as at this morning, to fill their tank. And even people are buying 510 Ghana cedis and even more. And we know that when it comes to the price of fuel, there are some major factors that play a role. The price of crude on the international markets and also your cedi against the dollar. Our cedi, as it stands now, is going at 6.60 Ghana cedis, per dollar. And that is a problem. Well, Issa says that it's the first quarter, and so we shouldn't really be cyclical about this and rather look at what can be done in the second, third, and fourth quarter. What do you say?
Bella, why do we have to go all the way to Russia and Ukraine to talk about the depreciation of the cedi? Why?
Because Russia is the biggest exporter of gas to Europe?
No, and when did
Is that not why?
And when did this conflict between Russia and Ukraine start? We've been having increases since last year and even the year before. So why would you sit on national television and tell the whole country that the increases that we are witnessing is as a result of Russia's threat against Ukraine? Where is that coming from? Look, until we are able to manage or control the depreciation of the cedi, we are going to continuously face these challenges that we are facing as a country. He talks about fuel prices or the world market of oil hitting $90 per barrel. But we are also having a windfall. We also produce. We pegged our prices at $60. So aren't we also getting a windfall? And that windfall that we are getting, what are we using it for? Because in our budget, we pegged the price at $60. Now that it's 90, we are also making profit. More money is coming. What are we using it for? And so he should leave Ukraine and Russia out of this equation and look at the poor management of the economy. He talks about they doing better in the management of the cedi. Why? Was it not the Messiah Baumia, the economic Messiah, who said that he had locked the dollar, the cedi, or is it the dollar? Which one he locked? I didn't know, and gave the key to the IGP. So what has happened now? What has happened now? Look, it is important to state that the challenges we are facing in the pricing of fuel is because there are some unnecessary taxes put on our fuel prices. And Duncan Amwa of that organization, COPEC, has written extensively and has advised the government as to how some of these taxes can be reduced so as to bring some alleviation to the people of this country. They are not heeding to that. So what do you think the truck drivers, the unions will do they would necessarily have to pass on these price hikes to we the customers. There are three components that affect pricing of fares, or that dictate the pricing of fares. One is the fuel prices. Two, because of the poor nature of our roads, there's rapid change of spare parts. And so the spare parts are also on the increase. The price of spare parts are also on the increase. The third one has to do with lubricants. And those who drive know what lubricant, or the oil you put in your car. Those ones too have been increased. And so when you put all this together, the taxi driver, the unions, the trotro drivers have no option but to transfer, or as it were, ensure that they transfer the burden to we the customers. The trotro drivers are not charity. The unions are not charity people. They are there to do business. They are commercial drivers. And so if you have a government that has failed to manage the currency well and is now blaming Russia and Ukraine for the increase in the prices, then you come to one conclusion, that this is a government that is bereft of ideas. This is a government that has lost all options and can no longer be there for the people of this country, and can no longer provide the needs of the people of this country. And so I would say that the MPP administration, that when they were in opposition, promised the people of this country that they were going to ensure that Ghana turns into Korea, or it will turn into Singapore, have totally failed. And we are now beginning, or we've even faced it, to have these economic challenges that is biting. And it is also, yesterday I got a call from Paga. The Paga border is close to Burkina Faso. And I was told that the traders there are refusing to collect our cedis. They don't, when you pay them cedis, they don't take.
Why?
Because of the depreciation of our cedi. You just mentioned here that on the league of 15 African countries, we are second. Second worst.
Second worst, yes.
We only are able to beat the Kwacha.
Yes, Zambia.
Zambia Kwacha. Mm-hmm. And so that paper called the cedi is worthless to them, and they are not taking it. I got a call from Paga. That is the extent to which our economy has sunk. And so I do not want him to sit here and say the depreciation now is better than the NDC. NDC it was some close to 4 cedis to $1. Now we are at close to 7. And
but,
you are saying that your depreciation today is better than the NDC.
But if you look at the percentage, is that not why they're saying that, in actual fact, the depreciation now, if you compare it to when the NDC was in power, because it went as low as what? There was a 31%, depreciation rate. That was sometime back in 2014. So if you're looking at that, is that not a reason why they would say that even your worst or their worst now might have been your best then?
Do you go to the market and tell the market woman that I am buying tomatoes a percentage of Ghana cedi? You mention absolute figures. You don't buy tomatoes percentages. Who has bought tomatoes percentages before? So let them know that the people are wise. They know when the cedi and the dollar is the cedi is rising. They know, and they can tell that it wasn't like that under the NDC, and that it is now higher in the MPP. That is what we are talking about. This they are gymnastics of talking about percentages. No trader goes to buy products in percentages. They buy in currencies and absolute figures. And so that argument would fall flat like a pack of cards. But do we have to blame the truck drivers? 3 unions out of the 16 unions came out to say that today they were going to increase their prices. The bigger union, GPRTU, says that they are yet to determine how much to pay. But what it tells you and me is that the unions have all agreed that there will be an increase. Because the GPRTU is not saying that they don't intend to increase, but that they need to meet and now agree on the percentage. It's just that 3 of the unions broke away and they were quick to announce. And so it is not going to be rosy anytime soon. The challenges will continue, and Ghanaians must brace themselves to ensure that they are able to ensure that these increases do not impact on them.
Let me bring Isa in.
Let me just make
this is just a message. Let me just quickly read it from Ambassador Sampiel. He says that Ghana is a net exporter of oil. So therefore, any increase on the world market brings huge financial windfall to countries that should be used to stabilize prices. Now, the decision not to refine our oil at Tor, Tema Oil Refinery, is because those who are importing oil are big people who do not allow Tor to operate properly. The oil import is what is putting pressure on the cedi. So how can Isa say that under the NDC, the cedi was $1 is to 3.14, and what is he saying? That's the question that Ambassador Sampiel is asking you.
To Ambassador, I think that from what I know, Ghana is still a net importer of oil, not exporter of oil. But you see, when you talk about the currency, and he might have his say about Tor not operating and the effect on our prices. But what I know that Ghana is a net importer
of finished products. We export the raw materials, by the way, but we only import the finished product.
So if we refined our crude, then we probably will be. But to date, we are still a net importer of oils. You see, when I said that the performance of the cedi, the best of the NDC is the west of the NPP. In 2015, for instance, under NDC, the currency depreciated by 18.7%. In 2016, it depreciated by 9.6%. The whole of last year, the whole of 2020, currency depreciated by 3.9%.
Of what? 3.9% or 9.6% of what?
Of the value of the currency.
But if you say 9.6 of 100, it's not the same as maybe 3.6 of 100.
How can it not be? We have a value. We have a value for the currency. And we look at the opening, the beginning position, and the end position, and look at the movement. That is what we talk about, the level of depreciation. So if at the beginning of the year it was 1, at the end of the year it was 2, it means that it's moved twice, which is double, which is 100%. So if a currency depreciates by 18.75% within a year, as we experienced in 2015, you cannot sit here today and tell me that you are a better manager of the currency.
So it does not smack of bad leadership?
It does not. And
you asked us to vote for change.
I made a point.
And if we can just project that tweet
Bella,
that the president put out, by the way, I could just quickly read it so you understand, and we'll put that in context.
I made a point.
So we get it. Coco, when you're ready,
please let me know. You're not ready to listen to me.
No, Bella. I'm just asking my
producer
to project
allow me when Amaliba was speaking.
Don't worry, I'm just projecting that. So quick one, by the way. So this is what the president posted sometime in 2016. He said that the current depreciation of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar is because of bad leadership. We should not be where we are today to buy a dollar for 3.72 Ghana cedis. Vote for change. # change now. As it stands now, 5 years into your government, and we're buying a dollar for 6.6 Ghana cedis.
When in a year your currency depreciates by 18.75%, I tell you it's a result of bad leadership. I tell you, it is a result of bad leadership. In a year, within 12 months, when it depreciates by 18.75%, when it depreciates by 9.75%, it is a result of bad leadership.
But percentage of what? That's what I keep asking you.
That is where I also find it difficult. Percentage of what? And I've told you that it is the movement within the 12 months. If at the beginning of the year it is 100, and at the end of the year it ends as 200, it means that it has depreciated by 100%. So it is a movement from one point to the other. That is what we are discussing. It is not a static figure that we measure, and so we say this is 3% of the value, or this is 4% of the value. It is a movement from one point to the other. If at the beginning of the year I was buying the dollar at 1 cedi, and then at the end of the year I was buying it at 2 cedis, it meant that it's now gone up by 100%. That is what we mean by depreciation. So the higher the depreciation, the worse the worse performance.
But if you tell us then that we cannot buy a dollar for 3.24, and so we should vote for change, then you're communicating to Ghanaians that when you come into power, we will buy a dollar for, let's say, maybe 2 cedis or less. No, that's not what you were saying.
What we are saying, every currency, including that of even the matured or advanced economies, will depreciate at a certain. But it is the rate of depreciation that matters. It is the rate at which it deteriorates that matters.
But if the fundamentals are weak?
Oh, the fundamentals today, given the global situation we find ourselves in, our economy is on solid foundation. Solid.
We were downgraded, and you're saying that we are solid?
Which economy is not being downgraded in this world today? Which economy today is not being downgraded?
Yeah, so
you know where
when we are being downgraded.
I said solid, given the situation we find ourselves in today.
Which is what?
Oh, from where the whole world is coming out of a situation that has never been experienced in living memory. The whole world, every economy in the world is coming out of a situation that has never been experienced in living memory. The debts of even the advanced economies, so they are in uncharted territory today. The US is talking 29 trillion, not billion, trillion. And they are still borrowing to be able to spare up the economy, be able to come out of this pandemic, be able to create the employment situations and all of that.
But our borrowing has been given a negative outlook. That means that we are likely to even
not
default.
A negative, even for Fitch
downgraded us with a negative outlook.
I have said,
and that means
Fitch
that
didn't say negative. It's a positive outlook.
Fitch?
Yes, stable. In fact, stable.
Stable was from Moody's.
Check what Fitch said.
Stable said our economy was a stable outlook. It had a stable outlook.
Stable outlook in this situation.
Fitch gave us a negative outlook, and Moody's gave us a stable outlook.
We have spoken about this.
And they told us that meant that if we borrow, there's a likelihood that we will default on our borrowing. And so a number of the, international borrowers will not give us the money because they'll be scared that we'll default. And
we are nobody is running from the situation. Number one, we have said that we have issues with what Fitch said, and so it's a matter of us engaging them to ensure that they have the right information and give us the right rating. Secondly, nobody's running away that we run an economy where for the technically we say there are no physical spaces in our budget. We run a budget where 3 line items takes every revenue we have. There we have to find a way. And Moody's, Fitch, S&P, they are all saying that because of our inability to raise money locally. That's simple. And because of our inability to raise our required revenues to run our economy locally, and that is what the government is looking at. In our last budget, we brought up policies, some of which have been dealt with by Parliament, including this property tax issue, looking at our tax exemption regime, and now we are looking at the e-levy to be able to get the local economy going, be able to get our revenues locally to be able to invest in this economy. So it is not out of place to have but every economy is going through what we are going through. Economies are being downgraded left, right, center. The rating agencies tell us what the situation is, and we know what the situation is, and so we are implementing measures.
So you agree with the rating agencies? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I will not say, especially with Fitch. We have said that. Look, they do this, or sometimes on third-party information. Other times they engage the managers of the economy. I would say that there has to be continuous engagement, and that's what the ministry is doing. Continuous engagement, because look, some analysts will sit somewhere, if you're lucky, they will come into the country to experience what is happening firsthand. And if they end up with a report, I mean, there's always the avenue for this engagement to ensure that we don't tell our potential lenders, or we don't actually mess up our credit rating. I'll dovetail into what the president said when he went to the AU summit, that sometimes us as Africa, as a group, the AU is building financial institutions, and sometimes some of the resources that come to us through some of these Bretton Woods institutions should be channeled through the African continent, institutions that we intend to build. And if it's done so, we believe that we are going to have a fairer examination of our economies and transactions, and that will lead to better ratings than what we are having now. We are not saying that nobody's talking against this rating agents. It's about engagement. It's about
nobody's talking against it. The finance ministry put out a statement, and they said that Moody's was contradicting itself. And in actual fact, we should even look at getting our own local indigenous rating agencies.
Be it Moody's, be it S&P, be it Fitch. They can't on their own sit in some place in Washington and give ratings. We will have to feed them with the information. And if they are not getting the right sort of information, our debt levels, our revenue mobilization, what policies we are bringing in, what projections are.
But when they graded the NDC, you said it was okay. You used it.
When they did what?
When they downgraded the NDC and they gave their ratings on them.
We are saying
you were okay with it. Suddenly they downgraded the NPP and you don't agree with it.
Nobody will say we are okay because this economy has been downgraded or because we are doing well. We would never wish Ghana worse. We, the New Patriotic Party, will never wish Ghana worse. Now we have our opponents on the other side of the aisle. They are praying that hell breaks loose because of their parochial political interest. But that
Why
is not
would they pray?
Sorry?
Why would they pray that all hell
that is exactly what they're doing. That is what they are doing. Even using the institution of parliament to be able to ensure that although they are in opposition, they are able to determine or have a no. Ghanaians is not
to determine what?
Ghanaians did not vote for them. Ghanaians voted for His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
Nana says this is the policy and this is how I want Ghana to go. What the opposition, I think the opposition should do, is to support the executive to ensure that the policies they intend to implement for this economy to come out of the pandemic, as happening in other economies, happens rather than this hula baloo and this whole thing of stretching this everything in parliament to
Lawyer, respond to this so we can move on.
There's never been experienced in this country.
How can Fuseni look in the eyes of Ghanaians this morning and say that the economy is doing well? Which economy is he talking about?
I said, given the situation.
Which economy is doing well?
Given the situation the whole world is experiencing.
You are no more astute in financial matters than your finance minister. Even he, what did he say? He admitted that the economy is collapsing if we don't bring in e-living.
He did say that, by the way.
So if you come this morning, when people are trying to make a living, and you tell the people in their face that this economy is doing, you are insulting them.
Oh, stop it.
And you should bow your head.
See, exactly what I was saying. Exactly what I was
saying. Please allow him.
This economy, as we all live through it, is an excruciating economy.
Everywhere in the world.
And so if you then sit here and say it is all rosy, then clearly you are dishonest and you are being fraudulent with the facts before you. See, I have indicated that whenever the prices of goods go up, the people of this country feel it and they can relate to it. And so for you to sit here and say, oh, under the NDC, the percentage increase was higher.
Figures don't lie.
Sorry about that.
Figures don't lie, Honorable.
The percentage increases were higher. When indeed, the people also know that in their pockets, when they go to buy food items, they are not able to buy. And so, my point this morning is that rather than you sitting on TV to make it look like the Ghanaian people don't know their situation, you should be giving hope to them. And you should be magnanimous to admit that your government has run down this economy. And the way it is now, you must do things anew. And so, my concluding remarks on this matter is that until the government finds ways to control the depreciation of the cedi, fuel prices will continue to increase. And the burden will be transferred to the people of this country. It will affect transportation, it will affect foodstuff, it will even affect your accommodation, rent. And these are rippling effects of a bad manager of economy who haven't promised heaven on earth, has come to deliver such a bad economy to the people of this country.
Okay,
see,
and
that
Nanaya,
is
by the
where-
way, and
that
we have
is
to move
where-
on to our next topic, please.
No, that is
It's,
where-
Nanaya says that if the cedi to dollar was 1 Ghana cedis and it increases to 2 Ghana cedis, that's 100%. Depreciation and the value is 1 Ghana cedis. If it further moves from 2 Ghana to 3 Ghana, then that's 50% depreciation. However, the value is still 1 cedi. Using percentages to show who is managing the cedi well is completely flawed. That's from Nanaya. And also, Sam George has just sent a message. He says, tell Husseini that he's so disillusioned and removed from the truth. How can he say the things he has said and go to the mosque later today? Does he not fear God? He should stop using percentage to discuss the depreciation of the cedi and deal with the nominal depreciation, which is what you were asking him about. 18% of 3 Ghana cedis is less than 10% of 6 Ghana cedis. That is from Honorable Sam George, the MP for Ningo Prampra. But let's move on now. Let's move on now. We don't have time, unfortunately.
But let me just tell Sam George, okay. He knows that the depreciation is only measured in percentage terms and not in absolute terms.
Okay.
Maybe he should revise his notes. And
Point
I
noted.
want
We
to
have to
tell
move on.
my
Sorry,
my
we have
senior
to
brother
move
here
on.
that look, food items everywhere in the world. Look, the U.S. is going through a situation. I use the U.S. People think it's out of it, but it's the biggest economy, and we have to keep benchmarking it.
All right.
Inflation levels are 40 years high.
What is their
in
salary?
1982.
Let's move on. So the minority in Parliament 2 days
1982.
ago filed a
That is-
motion
that is
for
that
a
is
vote
the
of
problem.
censure against the health minister, Kweku Agyeman over his role in the procurement of the Sputnik V vaccines from Russia through a middleman. And I'm sure you remember that whole controversy concerning how we were acquiring the Sputnik V vaccine for about $19 instead of the $10 that was being sold from the country itself. So Parliament Wednesday by consensus adopted the report of the committee which indicted the minister of failing to seek approval from Parliament, the Attorney General and the PPA. Now, speaking to the media after the adoption of the report, by the way, the Vice Chairman for the ad hoc committee, Kwabna Minta Akando, disclosed enough signatures have been gathered to trigger a vote on the fate of the health minister. And by the way, Honorable Afenyo Markin has been speaking. He's the, of course, he says that, he said he's surprised by the action of the minority since the committee had concluded that both parties unanimously agreed on the deal. Lawyer, let me start off with you. Looking at what Honorable Afenyo Markin, he's the Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament, has said, he says he's surprised by this action to ask for the health minister to be removed.
If we were in a very serious democracy, not Akufo-Addo's type of democracy, this minister would have been a goner long time ago. He would have been a goner. And check the world all over. At the height of COVID, most health ministers were fired. Check. Because of wrongdoing. Because the health of the people is paramount. And most of the health ministers around the world, South Africa, it did happen. Zambia also, it did happen. And so most of the health ministers fell because they could not live up to the standards required by their people. And one of it is Agyeman. How can a minister who was appointed to think for the people of Ghana admit at a committee that at a certain point in time, he stopped thinking?
He was not thinking right.
That's stopping thinking.
He was thinking, but not thinking
He has
right.
stopped thinking
That's
about
different
it.
from
He stopped thinking.
He stopped thinking.
Oxygen will
Isa,
not go
hold
into
on.
the mind, and you probably
Isa,
will
hold on,
experience
please.
a stroke.
You see? So how can a minister admit to these facts and still be allowed to hold his portfolio? 2, how can a minister breach the procurement law where monies were paid without going through parliamentary approval because it's an international contract? And when he was bastardized, he asked that the money should be refunded. And we think that everything is okay. There are a lot of question marks on this minister. Recently, he was asked to appear before the parliamentary committee.
Yeah, and he says that a report needs to be raised by the Auditor General to the committee before he can be present to answer questions.
And this was a man who was heading that same committee, the Public Accounts Committee. Gross disrespect to the committee that we all hailed him for when he was chair of that committee.
How is that disrespect when he says that processes must be followed?
No. Parliament has oversight, responsibility over all ministries. So it doesn't matter that Parliament is inviting you to appear before it and explain your position on certain matters. You could even go there, show respect to the committee, raise this your objection, but nonetheless, having at the back of your mind that Parliament has oversight responsibility over the executive, and you belong to the executive. And so for me, I'm of the view that this vote of censure is in the right place. Because if the appointer is refusing to do the needful, there must be a way by which the representatives of the people can hold the minister accountable. Look at how the president trivialized the whole issue of the minister's conduct. He even laughed over it as somewhere in the Bono region. Is that a president who has promised to protect the public purse?
But even the minister has said it, that he thinks he's been treated unfairly. He was trying to save lives, and even at that time, WHO, mentioned 2 countries that had managed COVID-19 best, and Ghana was among them. So there were even countries that were coming to him to help them manage their COVID economy better.
You know what he's saying? A teacher teaches your daughter well, and she's doing well. The teacher rapes your daughter. You want to complain, but I've been teaching your daughter well. Has it gotten into your sense to know that that is not an excuse? Let's assume Ajumameno has managed the health sector to the best of his ability and to the glory of God. But does that justify what he did? And that's why I gave you the teacher, your daughter, and the comments of your teacher when he raped your daughter. Because he's managed COVID well, he can defy, or what if you want, he can disregard our laws. We're a country of laws. And so this vote of censure, for me, is coming at a time when the appointer has refused to do the needful. And I think that it is in the right direction. They will debate it. There will be reasons why he needs to be removed. And you will realize that the current MPs, the minority MPs, are the ones who are always doing what the people of this country want. They are the ones who are, as it were, standing in for the good people of this country. And I must say that, but for them, the deteriorating nature of the economy and governance would have been worse. And I want to applaud the minority in Parliament that this group of minority MPs will go down in history as having stood by the people of this country, and they should continue in that way.
Isa, so lawyer says that the health minister should have resigned. In fact, there are a number of people, key personalities in the country, who had also asked for his resignation. Mr. Kweku Baako Jr. is one of them. He even said, and I quote, "If he's minded to resign, I will endorse it. I will vote for him if he were to do the honorable thing and just quit. You cannot defend this." Kofi Bentil of Imani also said the minister had to resign. And in fact, we even had a lawyer who said same as well, that the minister had to resign. Why is he still at post?
I'll start by saying, in fact, this topic is an element of surprise on me. It wasn't one of the topics I saw on the flyer yesterday.
Doesn't matter.
Apologies for that.
So but you see, essentially,
previously we were not even told what was coming here. We will just come.
Oh, I was very patient for you to
No, but the way you are making it look like
I was, but what I said is factual.
Somebody has had an advantage over another.
What I said is factual.
We're all not aware
what
of
I
this
said
topic.
is factual.
But what
Go
I'm
back to
also
the
saying
slide.
is factual, that in the past, we never had
What I said is
topics sent
factual.
to us. It is just
No,
yesterday.
don't be so worked up.
No. I want to also tell you that you are not at a disadvantage.
No, you got
Okay.
your whole
Okay.
time. Allow me to also
You
talk.
are not
Okay.
at a
Alice,
disadvantage.
also allow
Lawyer,
me to
please
talk,
hold
lawyer.
on. Please allow him.
Lawyer,
It is
There's a
topical,
level
by the
playing field for all
way.
of us.
It
There's
is
a-
Allow me to
topical.
talk.
Yesterday was in Parliament, so you'd expect that
Allow
at
me
least
to
you have
talk.
an idea. It's of national interest.
And I think that what the majority group is saying is, I mean, this committee was set up way back in August of last year. And I think even in August time, they were given some terms of reference and a time, and it's finished at last August. And a lot of us have been waiting for this thing to be discussed. But you see, Parliament has conventions, not necessarily what the standing orders say, but Parliament is guided by the Constitution, the standing orders, and conventions that have become part of the institution over time. And so sometimes when some of these things happen, I am not saying that you need to be in Parliament to understand some of these things, but these are conventions that sides of Parliament, you being in the right or left side of
issue.
right or left side of the speaker should adapt, because it's a accepted and from what I'm gleaning from the situation, after the committee was set up, I think the chairman of the committee was the deputy majority leader, Honorable Afenyo Markin, and he's been speaking. In fact, I've heard him say when you go to a committee meeting and the committee comes with a report which is unanimous, you expect that every member of parliament, being it in a minority or majority, will stand by that report, because that's a representation of proceedings of the committee. And so when it comes to plenary, you even expect that even for people who had dissenting view in the committee, they probably will voice it out, because at plenary, MPs are at liberty to say whatever they want without being held for it. So you expect that even dissenting views would be expressed. But at the end of the debate at plenary, you expect that the report is what members of the committee will go by, and that is a convention in Parliament. And so for this report to be debated at plenary, and then after proceedings, the minority group will spring the surprise on everybody.
How is it a surprise?
It's
It
a
was
surprise
discussed.
because it was not contained in the report, from what I gleaned. It was not an action
It was
that
discussed at plenary, but the vote was not taken.
I'm referring to the committee report. Speaker set up a committee that it went into details. I mean, some of the information that was available to them, probably you and the two of us will never know what was discussed in committee. What I'm saying is that the report that the committee came up with did not have this element or censure of the minister, and I didn't even think that the committee, as part of their terms of reference, had to make any recommendation. They were supposed to investigate what actually happened. And you see, at the height of COVID, in the early part of maybe 2020, December 2019, snipers from China and all of that into 2020 around February, when we reported our first cases. At the time, the world itself did not understand the virus. We knew it was a virus. Everybody knew it was a virus. But as to how this virus was going to behave, and we know viruses are very difficult to deal with. They mutate. And so the whole situation, we didn't have a very good idea where it was going. It was an emergency situation. And our laws and rules makes provision for some of these things. I'm not rationalizing
because this deal was signed
Bella,
a year even
today
after.
You've not
No,
I'm
sorry, but
allow me
what
to
you're
make my
saying
point.
looks like you're making an excuse for the health minister.
I am just using a word, but you will not allow me to even go there.
But this is not a monologue.
I said I am not rationalizing.
We're not supposed to be talking without being
because we needed cabinet approval for this. We went against it per the report from the committee. We went against Parliament's approval. We did not seek that. We also breached procurement laws.
It's your word that he went against it.
It is not my word. I have the key findings of the committee here, and it's part of the key findings. He breached the Constitution. PPA did not approve it. They did not go to Parliament for any ratification. You are a cabinet. Sorry, I mean, he is a cabinet minister, not you.
Shall it come to pass?
He is a cabinet minister. He did not even go to cabinet
Shall it come
for
to pass,
approval.
Bella, this Friday I receive it.
This is a man who has been in Parliament for a number of years, and so he totally understands how Parliament works.
It's a very senior member of
Parliament.
A very senior member of Parliament, and for an accountant and an auditor, his stature, you did expect it. But what I'm saying this morning is that at the time, there was the exigencies of the time required that certain steps were taken, and sometimes you could see this PPA and all of that. There were other things that he could have done to circumvent some of these things, given the exigencies of the times. Given the exigencies of the times, the PPA law makes provisions for emergency situations and all of that. That is why we don't always have to go through a long a year of publication and calling for it makes but you see, at the height, our president made a statement that I have repeated so many times. It's been repeated across the world by leaders. That look, we knew how to fix economies and all of, but we didn't need to. We didn't know how to reinvent or fix lives.
That's not an
so we
excuse.
needed to do the essential things. Essential things. Look, you could be saying whatever. At the time, I recollect that. Israel, which achieved the highest vaccination rates and to be able to get to herd immunity.
Hold on, lawyer.
To get to herd immunity, given the prices that they got their vaccines at, and I tell you that until recently, when production levels has gotten to a stage where economies like ourselves, even today, if you look at the vaccination rate on the African continent relative to what happened in Europe or in America, you see that we are still way.
The minister lied.
I am not
withheld information, more like.
When
they asked him if some monies had been paid for the procurement of the vaccine, he said nothing had been paid. Eventually, they found out that some $2.8 million had been paid out of the $5.7 million.
Subsequently been refunded, right?
So if a thief steals your money and then he brings it back
at the committee, he was supposed to respond to questions, and he said that he did not pay.
Don't let us know that. Look, the minister said that no money had been paid. Ministers are not signatories to checks and all of that. You know that.
But he wrote that letter for the letters of credit to be raised.
You know that ministers and government appointees at those agencies and all of that do not even sign checks. You know that, right? So it is a machinery. I am not holding
advance funds that he has
I am not holding brief for it. But what I'm saying is that typical, like I said in the case.
You're a finance person.
So
I expect you to understand.
Like I said in
all
the
of
case,
this.
in the case
the
of what is
finance
happening
minister cannot advance payments without the minister's approval. Because this had to do with the Ministry of Health.
Like I said in the case of what is happening in
Parliament. So what was he going to pay for if he had not approved it?
You see, we have a minority group which is using a situation to hold everybody to ransom.
How are they holding everybody to ransom?
Including this element of surprise.
You don't think that the health minister did anything wrong?
Including this whole thing. I am yet to see the report as I sit here. I am yet to. So I am only speaking from what I have gleaned on the media and all that. I haven't seen the
even before you see it. There's a Financial Management Act that says that you have to go to Parliament to seek approval if you have to, go into an international agreement.
When I walked into
even
the
that
studio,
was breached.
When I walked
you don't need
into
to see
studio,
the report to know this.
When I walked into the studio, I had honorable. I keep referring to you as honorable. Maybe it's going to come to pass.
and service.
Isa.
When I went into the studio,
Isa.
I heard you were speaking about lack of beds.
Isa, hold on. We're not talking about lack of beds here. We're not talking about lack of beds. You have finance person. It is obvious that he did not even go to Parliament for approval for this international deal, as per the Finance Management Act. He did not go for that. He did not go to PPA to get that, approval as well. He breached all those. You don't need the report to know this because all that was quite clear as he was answering questions at the committee.
It's all captured in the report.
So you don't think that he did something wrong and should be removed? He said it on live TV under oath. He denied paying any money when in fact 2.87 million had been paid.
When you speak the truth, Gabi will not do anything to you. This one is bad case. You speak the truth.
In fact, we uncovered that through Marcus Tobias. I remember that it was Johnny that had another interview with Marcus Tobias. Isa, you are not responding to my questions.
I'm listening to you.
Okay, so should the minister be removed? He clearly breached all the laws that should have been respected.
Parliament set up a committee. The committee report is out for the jury. I don't know what recommendations Parliament did. The committee came up with.
The vote on the report has not been taken by
it is not in my power to say he should resign or be fired. No,
if you were a regular Ghanaian, what would you say?
It is not in my power. At this point, it's not in my power to say that.
Okay. So Lawyer, final words so we can go. Well, time is already up.
Yeah, time is up. I noticed that he was in 60s and service.
Hey. Is that Maleva?
Yes,
my good friend?
It's me.
Oh, what is coming over you today?
That Gabi will not disturb you if you don't say the things you are saying, because you need to speak the truth to the people of this country. Your appointment will come. Don't think that when you say the truth, they won't appoint you.
What appointment are you giving me?
Our time is that we have to go let Lawyer land so we can go.
There is a clear case of a minister who has decided that he will not resign. And so, if the minister will not resign, the people of this country have every right to demand his resignation. And so, for the parliamentarians to table this motion of censure, for me, is holding the executive accountable. And that, for me, is gratifying. That now that we have a parliament, which is a hung parliament, that parliament is beginning to bear fruit.
Our parliament
and I think that let's continue in that fashion. But for the minister, it will be appropriate and proper for him to go home without being fired. He will have some respect if he decides that, look, I've had enough of the people of this country. I've done my part. In any case, when the history of the COVID is being written in this country, they will say that once upon a time, there was a minister who was able to manage the COVID well. Nonetheless, he breached our procurement laws and the laws of Ghana. That is better.
Why did the minority in parliament go ahead to approve him? He's one of the ministers that had the question marks about him.
What question mark did he have?
There were some objections that were raised about some ministers, and for him it was about the testing regime at the airport.
Yes.
And some other deals as well.
Yes.
But the minority in parliament still went ahead to approve him, to approve the other ministers that they raised objections about.
And you heard the people of this country up in arms against the MPs. You saw the reaction.
Not MPs, the minority.
So should you also not be blamed at this point for some of the breaches that we're encountering now?
Power belongs to the people. The people have sent their representatives there. The representatives didn't do what the people wanted. And you saw the uproar. We've gone past that stage. We've put that behind the banner. But now the people, the representatives are now coming back to say that, let's do the right thing. And now they are using the vote of censure to right the wrong.
I want to say that.
All right, time is up. We have to go, unfortunately. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
And it's management.
Our time is up. Husseini Issa is a former MP for Kankwe North, and Lawyer Abraham Amaliba is the head of the legal team of the NDC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for speaking to us. And later, we'll bring back that footage from the NAPCO demonstration yesterday, footage that you have not seen yet, as they marched to the Independence Square to present formally a petition to the CEO of the NAPCO Secretariat, who, by the way, was not present and was represented by the regional coordinator for NAPCO. And so we'll bring you all that and more right here on the show. This is TV3 Newday, and thank you to Sheila Bonsu for styling me every Friday on the show. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll be back.
Let's go.